My name is Jeff Morris. I'm a junior at Suffolk University, right over here. I'm here today to speak in favor of Senate Bill 1801, enact to tax and regulate the cannabis industry. Basically, I was here earlier with a ton of Suffolk University students, and we all run an organization at Suffolk that is dedicated to educating students on the topic of marijuana and state and federal policies, and anything that really they need to know as a student around cannabis. Basically, our organization, just to kind of show a number, is that in 2 years we have grown as of yesterday to 1,014 members. And this is all students, administration, and professors that all think alike. We really want to see this movement move forward. Basically, we all know that college is a time for students to enjoy themselves and at some point to learn a thing or two. And when students enter the realm of college life, they're introduced to many new activities, alcohol and marijuana being the two most prominent. One of our main arguments at the university is the argument of a safer decision. When a student decides to use a recreational drug for socializing, it usually comes down to alcohol and marijuana. And alcohol, being the legal drug, is usually the decision that most students use. But why should I be swayed toward using a much dangerous substance than marijuana? What if I don't want to wake up with a hangover the next day? What if I don't want to drink so much that I'm going to be throwing up by the end of my night? What if I don't want to have alcohol make my emotions affect the way that I act and possibly go to jail or embarrass myself in front of 20 people? You know what I'll do? I'll roll up a joint and relax the way that I want to. Marijuana isn't for everyone, but for those of us that do it, we shouldn't be called criminals. Why should I, an extremely hardworking, successful student, be punished for making a safer, more responsible decision? What kind of message is that really sending? Marijuana is a safer alternative for college students that do decide to use a recreational drug. Cannabis has never killed anyone, it has never ruined lives, and it has never added money to drug dealers' paychecks. This is a black market. The black market is a place where students like myself, when we decide to relax responsibly, we are forced to turn to this extremely dangerous, unregulated system that only profits from violence and drugs. I myself personally know someone who was here earlier that is my best friend of 12 years, and he was a victim of the black market. He was stabbed 6 times in the very commons that are right next to us, and he was left for dead. The investigation was ruled a homicide before he'd even got to the hospital. He had lost a gallon of blood for a little bag of weed. If this bag had been tobacco, this would have never happened. Marijuana needs to be taken off of the streets and regulated by this government. We at Suffolk University all feel very strongly about this cause, and we all felt the need to come here today to explain to you why. We want to see cannabis taxed and regulated in this state. And when I say taxed and regulated, I don't just mean just legalized. Because when people think of the word legalization, they picture a bunch of people running around smoking joints wherever and whenever they want. But this isn't what we are asking at all. We are simply asking you for you to take this drug off the streets and to regulate the cannabis industry under your rules, not our drug dealers. And when it comes to the issue of marijuana reform, the majority of the time, people are simply just uneducated on the topic. Well, as a college chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, we are dedicated to marijuana education. That's why by May 1st of this year, every representative and senator in this country will have an extremely educational DVD regarding cannabis on his or her desk, courtesy of Suffolk University. Thank you.
One quick question, or actually I guess a comment really. As a graduate of Suffolk Law, I would caution you against using the name of the school. You should use your organization's name, but I have to learn that the school would.
The school is completely behind it, and the dean of students.
The university is behind it?
Completely is in agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew Hutchinson and Catherine Callaghan. Is Catherine not present?
Catherine is present, yes.
You want to come forward, Catherine? You can testify together. We're both on the same sheet here.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify today on behalf of Bill S-1801. My name is Andrew Hutchison. I'm a sophomore at Emerson College, and I'm the president of Emerson Students for Sensible Drug Policy. SSDP is a grassroots international organization that is seeking education and drug reform worldwide. And the struggle against prohibition has been long and arduous, but I believe change is coming. If not today, by this court, by your pens, then in a few years, by ours. And my generation grew up in the final days of the DARE program. We realized that information we learned in schools about marijuana for what it really is, propaganda. Well, we're at university now. Some of us are studying to become lawyers, and others politicians. And when they are voted in, they will make the changes that are necessary. But you could make those changes this very day, and you could end the pointless war that costs the state billions of dollars every year. My estimated figures based on the California plan, you could accumulate $300 or $400 million in the first year alone by taxing marijuana. This brings me to my next point. And it has been a point of some concern as to whether or not marijuana users would be content to buy the marijuana from the state or from a dispensary, or if they would grow their own. I urge you to consider how many people you know that make their own alcohol or grow their own tobacco. It's perfectly legal for them to do so, but your average consumer does not want to be bothered with the hassle of producing their own substance, as it's far more convenient for them to go down to the local liquor store or tobacconist. Besides, the bill would delegate a grading system to ensure quality, but most importantly to protect consumers from dangerous products that have been laced by dealers or grown with toxic pesticides. A luxury, I assure you, not afforded by the black market. If you legalize marijuana, its dispensary shall runneth over, and the hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue that the state receives will float us out of its economic recession. I mean, it worked before with prohibition of alcohol, and it will work with marijuana. However, if, after careful scrutiny, you decide that this is not the best interest of the Commonwealth to legalize and tax marijuana, I would encourage you to seriously consider making both tobacco and alcohol illegal, since they are responsible for the deaths of 76,000 and 100,000 people respectively each year, whereas there have been 0 deaths attributed to the use of marijuana directly. I want to leave you with this last thought real quickly. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts was the first colony to oppose taxation without representation, and it was the first to raise up arms against the tyrannical rule of the British. I urge you to look towards not other states and nations for precedent. I urge you to uphold the revolutionary heritage of this great state, and I urge you to heed the call of this representation asking for taxation. I urge you to legalize marijuana. Besides, when before the people come to you practically begging to be taxed. Thank you for your time.
My name is Catherine Callaghan. I'm also testifying in favor of S. 1801. I'm testifying on behalf of Timothy Strain, who is our Students for Sensible Drug Policy Chapter Vice President. We shouldn't be trying to stop kids from smoking marijuana. They're going to smoke it. From 40 years and trillions of dollars has not stopped anybody who wants to smoke from acquiring marijuana. What we should be doing is trying to protect the people who want to smoke. Let me explain. When marijuana is not regulated by the government, children are being exposed to dangerous chemicals that dealers have laced their products with. Children are exposed to PCP, to other household cleaning products, and to pesticides that farmers have put into the drugs. We're not protecting kids by keeping marijuana legal. We're doing the opposite. The first time that I picked up a bag of marijuana, I was 17 years old and the dealer was 22. I was told I could get whatever drug that I wanted from him, and I could have. Dealing with shady dealers who are just out to swindle kids is where experimentation in dangerous drugs happens, and why marijuana is considered a gateway drug. I could easily get marijuana in high school, so can my 15-year-old brother, who's already had a terrifying experience with laced marijuana. Alcohol is a much more difficult thing to come by. Finding a 21-year-old who's willing to go out to the liquor store for you, it's not an easy thing. However, no dealer has any moral qualms with handing a child a dime bag. Of course, the economic impact would be staggering. Instant millions in tax revenue would flood the market. And don't you think people would be willing to hand that $50, $60 that they pay out for an eighth of marijuana, instead of handing it to a drug dealer, handing it to a person who's actually employed by the government? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for any of the witnesses? Seeing none, we thank you both for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you.